Despite his refusal to receive the COVID-19 vaccination,
and always supported the freedom to choose what you put into your body,
Novak Djokovic has been cleared to play in the Australian Open in January. The 21-time Grand Slam winner had his visa revoked and was deported from Australia on the eve of the competition back in January as a result. He was immediately suspended for 3 years for his potential to excite anti-vax sentiment in Australia. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date before we get to the juicy parts of the video. Despite his refusal to be jabbed, Novak Djokovic is expected to return to the Australian Open next year. Djokovic was barred from competing in the tournament earlier this year after arriving in the country without being immunized. He was later deported and given a 3-year travel ban, jeopardizing his participation in the Australian Open. Novak Djokovic, the world's #1 men's tennis player, had his visa to enter Australia dramatically revoked upon his arrival in Melbourne, following a huge backlash over a vaccine exemption in January. The tennis star had been detained at the airport in Australia for several hours before border officials informed him that he did not meet entry requirements. He was then transferred to a government detention facility, and the court ruled on his deportation. The Serbian player, who has stated his opposition to vaccination, was granted a medical exemption by 2 independent medical panels organized by Tennis Australia, the event's governing body, and Victoria State, according to tournament organizers. The decision infuriated many in a country where COVID-19 cases have increased, and over 90% of those over the age of 16 are fully vaccinated. People have also been subjected to some of the world's most stringent restrictions, and some are still not able to travel between states or internationally. In January, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison stated that under the right circumstances, Djokovic could be allowed to enter the country sooner. He said during an interview, "The ban does go over a 3-year period, but there is the opportunity for them to return in the right circumstances, and that would be considered at the time." With a new government taking power in Australia following the federal election in May this year, Immigration Minister Andrew Giles has reportedly decided to overturn Djokovic's travel ban if he appealed, and will allow him to compete in the tournament next year. Djokovic was at the center of a contentious saga earlier this year at the Australian Open when he entered Australia with a medical exemption to compete despite not having been vaccinated. However, his visa was revoked, and the Serbian ace was detained in a government detention hotel before winning his appeal. However, after he won his appeal, Australia's then immigration minister used his authority to revoke his visa, claiming that his presence would fuel anti-vaccine sentiment in the country. Djokovic was then deported back to Serbia, and he was unable to defend his title. He does, however, intend to come back the following year. The decision has been made to overturn Djokovic's 3-year travel ban, but he hasn't yet submitted an appeal, according to the Herald Sun in Australia. When the 21-time Grand Slam champion files an appeal, Australia's Immigration Minister Andrew Giles has decided in principle to lift the ban. Djokovic was barred from competing in the ongoing US Open 2022 after missing the Australian Open due to his anti-vaccine stance. His only Grand Slam title victory this year came at Wimbledon 2022, when he defeated Australia's Nick Kyrgios in the final to pass Roger Federer and win his 21st Grand Slam title. After arriving from Dubai, border officials said the 34-year-old failed to provide appropriate evidence for entry. Non-citizens who do not hold a valid visa on entry or who have had their visa cancelled will be detained and removed from Australia, the Australian Border Force said in a response to the matter. Australia's Prime Minister Scott Morrison denied that Djokovic was singled out and stated that no one was above the country's rules. However, he added that Djokovic's vaccination stance had gotten much attention. Djokovic did not play in any tournaments in the United States in 2022, but he was allowed to participate in the United States Open in 2021, where he lost in the final to Daniil Medvedev in his bid for a calendar Grand Slam. Djokovic made a statement that he will not accept the COVID-19 shots, even if it means missing out on certain tournaments. Djokovic is currently one Grand Slam title behind Rafael Nadal, the men's tennis player with the most Grand Slam singles titles. Do you think his recent troubles and absence will affect his performance? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more news on the topic.